Wi-Fi coverage in your house and talking about placement, teaching you where to place it, not close to electronic devices, but in central locations. But it's so obviously just pamphlets, virtual pamphlet papers flipping past my screen, and nothing is happening to the beacon that I plugged in. I'm shaking my fist at the sky. It's not doing anything. And I look up let's go back to the instruction booklet I got, this cardboard placard with one thing written on it saying go down the app. That's go download the app is the only instructions I had. So I'm searching Google for answers. I'm on their website. Nobody's reporting this kind of problem. It just works. Everything you hear from customers and from the company, just follow the instructions. It just works. And I cannot make it. And so being a tech person, I'm like, okay, well, they got to be configuring this using Bluetooth or something. So I pull out a device and I start digging in the Bluetooth networks and I see what I suspect is the device. And I connect to it brilliantly. But I can't do anything with it with the app. I'm like, isn't this what you're trying to connect without making me have to connect? I've connected it. Why won't you still work? And I'm shaking my fist in the air going, Jesus, if I didn't know what I knew, I'd be going nuts. This is a crazy product. Why would anybody pay this amount of money for this stuff? And it drove me to ranting to my buddies and taking suggestions on what to do next, and finally calling their technical support, which answered really easy. And they were surprised by the problem I was having and started walking me through the app. And we get to where the beacon's supposed to be set up. And he says something like, now just hit the next button. I'm like, I did. Now all I've got is this pamphlet information. I just skip through the pages. Now I'm waiting. He's like, that's odd. You're supposed to be on a screen where it's flashing such and such. He just described it to me. I'm like, that's not what I see. Look. And I start just banging on my phone. And lo and behold, the thing swipes up. And at the bottom is a button to go next. The first page of all of this that has a swipe
out of the field.
Right. There's no bar indicating that you have to scroll up. Right. There's nothing on the page to indicate there's anything at the bottom of the page. That's exactly what I told the guy.
So
And
you could have skipped all this whole brochure.
I didn't need to read through any of that stuff. I didn't need to ask people for help. I didn't need to make the phone call, but I did need to know there was more on the page, that I needed to swipe up. I had to scroll up to the bottom of the page to find the button. It's an app I'm using. It has no scroll bars on it. Every page before it had no scrolling space. This is the one page where it had scrolling space. And they could have just put the button at the top. Right? If it was at the top and I'm not finished reading, it's so obvious. And the guy on the other end is listening to me have this revelation on the phone because he hasn't told me anything to figure this out. I've figured this out, and I'm explaining to him what I've figured out. And he's like, man, I am writing that up. I'm going to put that in here. I'm going to make it a suggestion. You're not the first call like this. This is a serious support issue.
It's a case where the engineers design something and nobody pretends to be the customer.
Right.
Design something in what?
The engineer designs it, but nobody pretends to be a customer and see how it works.
Well, and even still, even their customer support, they know how to scroll up. They've been testing on this software forever, but they don't know enough to go, hey, you know what? You need to scroll up to find that button, and they don't have that written on their website. There's nobody reporting that problem. And what I'm guessing, if I had to speculate, I would imagine their typical customer is an iPhone owner. And what do you want to bet that button looks perfect on an iPhone?
Oh, yeah.
Right? I'm just speculating. I've done no research. I'm just thinking about the way things work in this world. It would just make sense to me that an iPhone, because they wouldn't tolerate that.
iPhone people can afford this.
Right. That's exactly my point. This is an iPhone owner experience over here.
Are you waiting in line for these things?
No.
You said that this
That's right.
Nothing else, it's strictly Wi-Fi from that point on.
That's right. That's right.
The other one only has Cat5 plugins.
That's right. So if you were to introduce this to your network, you would start off of the Telmex device.
So you plug it into the modem through that.
Yeah, like you would a computer or a security camera. You would just plug it right into the modem. And what I would recommend if you were to use it's good to use another router instead of just the device that the phone company's provided you with. But you would want to get inside it and you'd want to turn off the Wi-Fi and shut it down to its basic functions, so that that's not a security problem and it's not a hindrance. It's not causing confusion or conflicts in your Wi-Fi network. I'm a strong advocate of using only one Wi-Fi or a Wi-Fi and a guest Wi-Fi. Oh, you know what? I was looking that up. I wonder what it is for a subscription. Because without a doubt, they're going to help you. They're charging so much for this equipment. They're ready to help you.
You threw out something that was interesting. You said only a one Wi-Fi system.
Right.
What do you mean? Can you have multiple Wi-Fi systems?
Yeah. In fact, if you were to just plug this in to your, I know I sound odd. I'm trying to bring up their website and
I'll
on.
tell 'em, 'cause I did that at home. I got a booster, so it's in a different floor of the house. It gets a weak signal, makes a strong signal, but it has its own name. It has its own name. So if I'm in that area, I log into that device with a different name than the house device.
So why is he saying you only have one?
Well, with this, you only use one name throughout the house. So,
Is there a problem security-wise or other?
apparently not.
No, apparently not.
Because it doesn't, the walls of your house stop it pretty effectively, so it doesn't bleed outside.
Well, that's here in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we use brick walls here.
With rebar.
Ugly bricks with beautiful stucco, that's Mexico.
Okay, so in a frame house, wood frame house, you have no security at all, right?
Okay.
I don't know.
Because of what we know about the compromised Wi-Fi throughout the platform, the best security is to limit the size pocket Wi-Fi so it doesn't go outside your house. And in the 2x4s and sheetrock, that's a real concern because Wi-Fi just penetrates it so easy that you could be broadcasting down the street from your house.
Even when the wire inside that they usually use for that construction,
Say again?
they usually use kind of a chicken wire type thing.
I'm
Oh, that's for stucco.
Yeah, for stucco. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm really generalizing. So they're definitely, yeah. I mean, something like if they did use a chicken wire mesh, that would make a great Faraday cage. It would keep the Wi-Fi in. We might actually see that included. We might start seeing contracting that is specifically to limit your security exposure. I could see that being incorporated. I don't have a lot of construction experience at all, but I mean, like Sid, doesn't that sound like something that would be a relative safety precaution you could in?
Cheap enough.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really cheap enough.
It-
I'm not sure it's that effective.
You know?
No, it's, in the States, the house we're in, it's got 12-inch adobe walls with a chicken wire.
With the chicken wire
And
and
I know our Wi-Fi signal goes out to the shop, it's probably 30, 40 feet away.
I had to find a place
But
for it.
then you put a booster, but it will go out the window.
yeah, well, it will go out the windows. That's
But it won't go down the neighborhood.
yeah.
But I was surprised it would get outside those 12-inch walls with the chicken wire.
Well, it'll be interesting because Bob's really one of the ones I should be asking, isn't it? I mean, could you imagine? You can imagine constructing with materials like an architect would build a house with the idea that the Wi-Fi couldn't bleed outside because of the materials they chose to build with.
Just cover the house with aluminum
Well,
foil.
what's this about limited Wi-Fi? Is there Wi-Fi.
Well, I guess the point I was trying to make is that their goal with these products is not distance, it's robustness. It's to have a solid Wi-Fi pocket. Uh, Instead of trying to go as far as possible, they're trying to maintain a good solid pocket of fast, high-speed, uninterrupted
So
Wi-Fi.
when you say limited, you don't mean that it's limited to 30 feet.
Well, I'm saying they're not concerned about it getting past 30 feet.
Is that adjustable?
But it can go past that.
Well, potentially, but that they're not building it for that goal. Like they don't have directional antennas. They're not trying to achieve this long distance. What they're trying to achieve is 4 or 5 computers in the same network having a really good Wi-Fi hotspot. And if you need it over there, you buy another one of these and you stick that over there, and it just boosts the effectiveness of the overall network.
Well, one of the things that's being done in most buildings, but not houses, is when you use wire mesh, or not chicken wire, which is very porous, but you use a metal lath to put on plaster. That has 100 times more metal than chicken wire will ever.
You know, I think this is mostly gonna be an office or a business installation where people have to be sharing files, you know, like, for the.
Well, no, Paul, that's not the case. In fact, my analogies are antiquated. As we're sitting here, I'm thinking about it, and of course you would be looking for this kind of robustness because you want to be able to surf web pages and have 4K videos streaming wirelessly to your bedroom. And so that's where this really would be effective. Because if you weren't getting if your 4K was choppy, you could buy another one of these and stick it down the hallway. And now you've got 2 devices working to get you that information from that one internet connection.
So the example would be if you had 2 people watching 2 different TV shows in 4D.
In 4K, yeah.
4K. I mean, then they will both have the same amount of strength on their TV wherever they would be in the house.
Well, yeah,
If they were
I'm,
close enough to a read.
all I was trying to emphasize, Paul was looking for a real world example. Like an office does make sense. If you wanted a wireless office, it makes complete sense because you could have a very robust wireless office. You wouldn't have to have any cabling. But that would be because you would expect this interactions of wireless to get the highest performance. And a good example of that for the consumer is trying to have 4K interactions throughout your house because they require so much data to be able to move. The pricing on the service, they've got a $10 per month or $100 a year for a Eero Pro. And that provides enhanced parental control and protections against malware. And this is a feature that I forgot to mention is part of the complete package. You've got easy setup, you've got app administrated, and you've got cloud services. Well, what I forgot to mention in the app, when something comes online, when you give somebody a password and they come online, you immediately get a map of what's online. So you see all your devices there in the app, and when your friend's device comes on, you see that come onto the app. And you can tap on the device and you can control what kind of access it has to your Wi-Fi. So you can block specific programs, you can add parental controls, so you could say these websites are not allowed or only these websites are allowed. Those are all features of buying into their service.
The service cost, do they give you an annual one or
Yeah, they have a $100 annual fee.
$100?
It's it's like $9.99 a month and $99 a year. So it's basically $10 a month or $100 a
So
year.
you're at least covered for 1 year without maintenance.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I think they've done it well because I think that I am on, for testing this, I signed up for a plan. They didn't ask me for a credit card. The plan is a free plan for administering this device. I can go to them through my account and get technical support. I think all that's good. And I think what they're trying to do makes sense, is they're trying to add more to it. The idea of parental controls is a dynamic one. It's not a static idea. You can't just buy a device for parental controls because it's based culturally and conceptually what we want to control. And so those ideas change and fluctuate with wherever we are in our culture.
The age of the kids.
So it makes sense to have a dynamic service out there helping guide you through that as things change in the world.
Is that why you bought it?
I didn't buy it. This is a customer setup, and I became very familiar with it because I got to go help him set it up. And I did not realize how much help he really needed until I needed help scrolling on my phone. Just like my customer would be crying right now. But if you had an iPhone, maybe not.
Is this a United States company that sells these?
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I could give you more information than that, but they're getting sold in the United States. For some reason I want to say they're part of Google. I mean,
Yeah. They've been dying for a long time.
I'm just quickly trying to figure out who owns them. No, it's a private company.
Gonna be bought up any day now, right?
Yeah, probably. All they would have to do is cut this package in half, right? There's no reason. I think they've got a good model for buying service, and that's really what they want to do, is they want a service company.
Oh, yeah.
If they just cut it in half, I think they'd get just twice as many customers very easily.
She gets half off.
Bill's here. Well, anyway, I brought that in just because we were talking about it before our club meeting, and I just happened to have it in the car.
Hey, Bill, Thursday, 3:30.
Thursday, 3:30.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Bill, next week we're going to have Marco Cruz come in and talk to us about solar technology and what he can set up here in Mexico. Oh, thank you.
And if you're asking why there's no woman here today, except for one, they're all at the house tour.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, the house tour.
The house tour. I didn't even know that was going on.
Ready by 11:30.
Okay, are you gonna be,
Oh,
are you gonna
well, it's only
videotape this next week?
10 till 10.
Sure, yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. I have no reason not to. Unless I have technical difficulties. Right now we should be streaming online, but we're not because of technical difficulties. I did bring some other topics. Does anybody have any questions that they want to get answered today? Come. Aw, that's really nice. You guys love me. Nobody.
One thing I discovered this weekend, that the other Scott's TV program, the NFL channel had much better reception than the NBC channel done in the other markets, but it did not affect the score. Or the shitty tackling by the Patriots.
Did you guys see how many free ways that were being offered to stream?
In the morning I looked and I went, what? Because usually it dies.
It's a reversal. It's a role reversal as far as the NFL goes. They've gone from blocking everyone from copying it to please take these streams.
Thank head injuries.
What's that?
Thank head injuries.
Thank head engineering. Yeah?
They gotta change their image.
Is it-
They gotta change. They're losing kids in like 5th, 6th grade. They're losing kids by the millions.
Well, that's an interesting perspective. Now, I thought about it differently. I thought when you charge this much money for
A ticket?
ads, for advertising, then the more eyeballs that can see those ads, the better. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to have these packages that people have to pay to watch these shows when you can stream it out on the internet and you can count every single set of eyeballs that saw that ad. So, so why not release it for free, right?
Speaking of it, that's probably, some doctors did some research and now recommending that nobody allowed to play football until after
Oh wow.
because it will impede the thought process at that young age. Probably the thought process.
Well, that's
There are a lot of athletes saying my kid's not gonna, there are a lot of wives of athletes, or athletic wives, who are saying my kid's not playing football.
yeah.
That's what I said until my son was a senior in high school, and he was so good at track, they, wanted him to play, because he was a runner.
He's a runner.
Yeah,
So is he good at football? Was he good at football?
I don't know. Football?
He could outrun everybody, but he couldn't catch the ball.
Yeah, I don't know if that counts. I knew a lot of people like that in school.
But now he plays
They
ice
could
hockey.
outrun anybody, but they couldn't catch a ball to save their life.
A couple guys
Still
from the
brought
Olympics
fear
made
to
it.
the safeties when he could outrun them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Hayes,
Yeah, very good, yeah. That's a-
way back.
Yeah, they're not even gonna try.
Yeah, he was.
That guy knows how to run.
Mm.
Well, one of the topics that I brought, and I want to thank you guys again just for coming to hear me speak. I'm happy to answer people's questions, but it's nice to see you guys here just to be interested in Computer Club. Sid brought up a topic. He's been fighting with his iPhone battery. You know all this stuff about the battery gate. They've dropped the replacement price on iPhone batteries.
Did you try freezing it yet?
It's an ongoing joke here. Put it in the freezer.
It works.
It works.
He froze a battery this week and it worked.
Mhm.
Must be really
What was yours out of?
Camera.
A camera battery, and you got it working again. All right.
all else fails.
I'll say again, I'm not fighting against the idea. Just you use the idea when you're ready to throw the battery away. I'm not saying you're making it worse. I'm saying it's so bad that you could try anything without fear of screwing up that battery. So why not stick it in the freezer and see if it works?
Just don't punch holes in it.
Yeah. That's get great discharge by punching a hole in it.
What kind of freezer you got?
It was an apple.
It's an apple.
That's why, it's your little G.
There you go.
Well, so I'm telling Sid, hey, I heard the latest version of iOS. They've got controls over that. With you can, because he's thinking his performance is degraded because his battery's old because of what they were saying, which is probably true or could be true. But in the new operating system, you're able to see that information. You're able to go into the settings and look at the health of your battery, and you can dial up the performance or dial down the performance by your setting, not by some setting that an Apple engineer has set that they've had to retract their story on and go back and do better PR and get better messaging on what they were really talking and throw batteries at people for $30 to make. You can actually see what's going on with the battery and control that performance yourself. Except it's not out yet. And I didn't realize that until last night, that the latest version of iOS has yet to come out. It won't come out until this spring with all its other upgrades, and that'll be 11.3 will be the version for your iPads and your iPhones and those devices. Right now, the latest is 11.2.5, and so we're still kind of at a loss for knowing what kind of battery health you might have in your iDevice. So what I discovered was a very easy way you can check your battery life, and you can annoy Apple at the same time. So I knew Sid would love this. You can download the official Apple Support app. This app is intended for your Apple device to have an interaction, a chat interaction with Apple Support on whatever topic you might have with your phone. And from there, it will collect diagnostics information and you're able to send it to a chat support person. They will ferret through it, or it's going to be an AI, which wouldn't surprise me if you're dealing with a robot on the other side that's taking your data. But it will return to you the health of your battery and make recommendations.
AI from Thailand or something?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, or China.
They're bots.
But so yeah, so the official Apple support application, which you can download from the App Store. And you can have all kinds of interactions with tech support. If you have a problem with your phone, you can use that for tech support. But in this case, you can ask them about your battery life, and you can send them your information, and they'll send you back what kind of state it's in. Yeah, okay, very good.
Somebody, everybody, run by me one more time, the choice, of various terrarium offerings.
Terrarium, you're talking about for TV, Terrarium TV?
Yeah.
Like-
When I've tried, I seem to have a bunch of different ones.
Are you using an Android device? Okay. It should just be Terrarium TV. In fact, I think you just download it from their website.
No brothers and sisters, cousins.
No, and
No.
192 is the newest version.
Well, and it will upgrade. You can upgrade it within the app, so you don't have to go download it again after you've downloaded it.
What does it do?
It is an app that we've been using to be able to watch shows and movies. And it's got a presentation very similar to a Netflix experience, where it has a matrix of titles, cover art. You click on it, click through, and it does searches.
When I click on it, get rid of an icon to fill it myself. When I click on that icon, it says I need some kind of access.
A media player.
The player.
Yeah. And you could download the MX player. When you click on it, there's an option, a menu comes up, and there's an option that says play with and has 3 dots. And if you click on that, it will show you the options that are already in your device. Yeah, it'll show you what video players you have available to try and play that stream with.
Does that app cost you?
No. But there is advertising on that app. Terrarium TV.
I use Stremio.
Streamio is a similar app.
What's the advantage of Terrarium?
I'm not. The only advantage I can think of is there isn't any customizing in it. Like Streamio, to get free content, you have to add add-ons, and that's easy to do in the Windows application. In the Android device, I was not able to click 2 buttons to get those apps installed.
Really?
No.
I use it on my Android phone all the time.
Stop before we go too far from Terrarium.
Okay, sorry. Well, one of the big advantages with Streamio is it's cross-platform. You can use it on Windows devices as well as Android devices as well as Mac devices. A Terrarium TV, you have to use an Android emulator on a Windows device to use it. And we can go back to your Terrarium TV. The 3 dots, you can see a list of what you've already got installed. Play with 3 dots, and it'll bring up a menu of the players in your device that are already there. You find one that works fine for you, you might be able to set that as the default player in the settings.
Like VLC.
Yeah, VLC is one of the recommended ones as well. You could download VLC, but you could download the MX player, or you could just see what's available in your device and choose it.
Do you need a VPN for these two?
Only from a security standpoint. If you did not want to be seen as downloading illicit programming, then a VPN would cover your tracks. But I roll naked.
In a house without walls.
There was some browser,
some of these various clouds, one of them does have a VPN built into it.
Opera has a VPN built into it. Yeah, and you can. It's nice after it's enabled in the preferences. You have to go into the preferences and turn it on. But after it's turned on, you have a VPN button in the address bar, and from the button you can turn it off and turn it on at will.
Something
I
about
have a question, it's a similar question, because on my laptop, sometimes I'm using Chrome, and I go to a site and it says, oh, in order to view this video, you have to download Flash. Well, Chrome is supposed to have Flash up to date. So are they selling me a
What-
Flash plus things I don't want?
Actually, Paul, this is so frustrating, but they've pulled Flash out of Chrome.
Oh,
They have. I don't know why. But you can't get Flash included anymore. Windows is still supporting a Flash, at least in terms of security updates.
So you still have to download it for it asks you
I
to
think
wanna do whatever it is that you're trying to do.
I think so. I've run into that
Doesn't
problem
really
and had to reinstall.
I've had
but
it happen to me,
but I was
just
afraid
usually get
it
out
was
and see
gonna
Yeah.
give me Flash, which I already have, plus some
I would
Trojan horse or something like that.
if there's any question about whether you need Flash or not, I would Google, do I need Flash? Because it'll take you to the Adobe site that will check and see if Flash is installed. And then I would only install Flash from the Adobe site.
Right, right.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it from a prompt. I would go intentionally to Adobe and download it.
That happened to me about 3 weeks ago. So in the past, I've uninstalled Google Chrome and then reinstalled it. It seemed to work better. But it wouldn't let me uninstall for about a half hour. It kept saying, close all apps, close all apps. So, absolute lie. And so, I forget exactly what I ended up doing, but I waited like a half a day and then was able to uninstall it. I think Google was playing games at that point. Like,
I found that VHS will play just about anything, but just recently I had it brought up a file that it wouldn't play, and I played it in the Windows Media Player. It worked fine.
okay.
Were you talking about VLC?
Yeah.
VLC plays anything? Yeah, it really is a catch-all.
I've had an issue with my computer this week. If I shut it off, or, if I just turn it off through the power source and I turn it back on, I get a stop code blue window screen that won't, and it says, oh, we'll restart your computer, and it'll do that for a little bit, then it'll give you an advance option. And you go in there and you hit startup fix, and it fixes whatever's wrong, and as long as you don't turn the computer off, it won't bother.
You may be suffering from this more often reboots problem with Intel, their updates for the Meltdown virus. Their what do they call it? The software they put out to take away that security problem. Microsoft has stopped these Intel patches. I don't, in the back of my head, I don't know exactly what you should do. I think you should probably check to make sure you have the latest Windows updates. Make sure that because from what I understand, they came out through Intel, and then Microsoft has put out at least an emergency release to suspend those patches because of more frequent reboots. Intel was really interesting because they used language like you need to stop using these because they induce more than often rebooting, which begs the question: how often should a computer just be randomly rebooting? Because it shouldn't; it should just run, right? But their patch actually makes the computer reboot for no apparent reason.
Kind of interesting. I've noticed that Sundays, everything is really slow.
Uh,
Every day.
Hmm.
I don't know why.
And here I thought it was because my kids were home.
All the text
Yeah,
from church.
must be.
Right? Maybe.
Sunday is a day of rest.
Yeah.
Well, did you guys all experience the national outage? I know you did, but were you aware of it? Yeah, last week we were completely dead.
Talking
And
about electricity or?
no, internet.
Internet.
Internet through Telmex was
Oh, really?
completely down, yeah.
How long
I
that
wasn't sure which day it was.
It's an hour, I
Keeps
think.
going out
It's an
hours.
hour, 2 hours, but the significance was it was everybody. It was everybody on Telmex was out. Jim's shaking his head. You must have been out playing cards or something, because it was out. It was. Yeah, no, it's.
Actually, I saw.
I can give you a date. I'll have to go look through my records, but I
there was
give you a date.
reference
You
to
can
that
check your
Mexican Daily
records.
News.
Yeah.
I
What-
didn't read the article. It was right- I don't know what they're talking about here, but.
Right, yeah, in the Daily News they had a thing about it because it was all the way down to Guadalajara. Nobody had internet for like an hour, 2 hours.
I think it was the guy in Honolulu.
What I learned from that experience,
Probably.
it reaffirmed something I was toying with, but I'm fairly certain this is what's going on. If your area is reported, if your house is reported, they block your phone calls coming in. They don't want to hear another report from you. They give you busy signals when you try and call the phone company. And I've been theorizing this for a while now.
Don't go to the office.
And that was the worst was when I was trying to report my house and I called a dozen times to the two different numbers, got a busy signal every time I called up. Finally I get through. I get a generic recording saying we've already got this reported. It was a recording saying we've already got this reported. Hung up on me. I didn't have any menu or options for me. What if I was reporting something else? Couldn't get through. Called back, busy signal, busy signal, busy. Finally grabbed my cell phone. I was able to get through both numbers first try. I got to talk to a person first try. They said, well, this has already been reported. You don't have to report it again.
Same thing.
Right. I got a person to say that to me.
Are you sure?
On the outage, couldn't do it from a landline. You could not call it. You had to call from a cell phone because it was getting a busy signal. And other people that I talked to were getting the same experience. They would call to report the problem with internet, and all they would get is a busy signal. So I'm fairly confident if Telmex thinks they're already dealing with your issue, whether you know it or not, they're blocking your report call because they don't want to deal with the extra customer support.
Can't you do that with your own cell phone too?
Say again.
Block call?
Well, I'm talking about you trying to reach them.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, I'm like, what's wrong with my internet? I better call Telmex and find out what's wrong. And you get a busy signal. And so now you're left with the frustration of how do I report this problem if every time I call them I get a busy signal? They haven't talked to me. They haven't given me a report number. Who knows how long I'm not going to have internet? They do, but you don't.
Okay, I pick up the call, I call somebody on a regular basis, and I get a busy signal.
Yes, they can block you, Bob.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is,
So then I get using somebody else's cell phone, and I got right through.
right.
Right.
So I'm telling you, exact same experience when you're trying to report a Telmex problem when they know you have a problem. The problem is you don't know you have a problem. So it's lousy customer support.
Yeah.
Right. They should have something. They should be pushing you off to something going, we already know everything's down in your area. And who knows? Maybe that is what they have, and that's what's busy, is they're pushing so many support calls off to that device that it's just a busy signal now. But I would still argue it's the phone company. You should never get a busy signal from the phone company. Something's wrong if you're getting a busy signal from the phone company.
I just had something happen. I logged on to Facebook on my phone here and it said you're not eligible for free Facebook.
You're not eligible for free Facebook. Is it a Mexican cell phone?
Yeah, no,
Really?
just happened. Unfortunately, my battery died.
Wow. Well, Ed, you've got our topic for next week. I want to know if that persists as being a problem. I have not run into that at all.
Depends what plan you have.
Oh,
Facebook is free.
no, actually, Jim's right. They actually have different plans now.
Some of it is, and some of it isn't.
Yeah.
And then if you use up your meg, then it isn't.
Now, Jim is absolutely right. I forgot the last time I looked into it. They were selling plans that gave you Facebook for free. They guarantee Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp will be free.
And USA, Canada, and Mexico.
Oh,
All-
so Telcel has some program you gotta buy?
Well, and what it might be, they've got that with the prepaid too now, right? And you might have bought a prepay. You might have made your payment
Yeah,
on
but-
something that doesn't include free Facebook.
So the limitation is the number of minutes you use, is that it?
On some of it, there's now they have two different plans that have all three countries. One is less days, but has more megs of data that you can use. The other one has fewer days, whatever. Anyway, one has more days and one has fewer days. And the data is different that you get to use. And then they have the regular packet that you just buy and all this telephone and everything costs.
Well, we just went in to price a chip we were going to buy from Oxo. You know, you can get a phone enabled just by going into Oxo and buying a chip. You don't have to go into YMS and go to the Telcel office. And they have two cards sitting there. One's 149 pesos, the other one's 29 pesos. And apparently the 29 peso, from what the guy at the counter was telling me, is that you have to refill with 50 pesos every week. And if you don't, it suspends the line. And the 29 peso chip, the one that's like $1.50, the caveat is that you have to put 50 pesos on it every week to keep it going. And if you miss it, then it suspends the line and you have to get reset up with another chip. And the 150 peso one is the constant lifetime telephone number. It's 149 pesos, 150 pesos. And I think it starts with 50 pesos on it, and then you can choose to put however much you want on it.
50 pesos, it comes free with 50 pesos. You have to activate
With an amount as well.
with an amount as well in order to kick that 50 pesos.
Ah, okay, that's good to know. So yeah, so you'd go in expecting to spend 200 pesos on your SIM.
Right.
Yeah.
How many miles do you get for 50 pesos? How long can you actually have a phone to your
It
ear?
cuts off halfway through the conversation.
About how many minutes is it?
It's supposed to be unlimited, but like I said, I spend 200 pesos approximately every month. It's supposed to be unlimited talk time. It's got like 700 megabytes
Of data.
of data.
Yeah.
It runs out every 33 days. If you set the one plan, the other plan runs out every 28 days.
Yeah, there's a real they put some psychology into it.
The
Get
new
it for
plan
February.
started about 3 months ago. There used to just be the two. Now
Right.
There's three.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
'Cause
it's
I wound up getting the wrong plan last time. I got the 28-day one. I wasn't watching what I was pushing.
What's the most expensive one? What's the top?
You can put as much as you want on it.
Oh, which one's the top?
like talk time.
Every,
Are you talking about like talk time?
no, I'm talking about daytime.
Daytime. Yeah.
The more
Each one
money
every
you,
month.
the more money you put on it, the longer, like on a 500 peso buy, it's like 3 or 4 months worth of service.
But if I'm right, that $29 chip or 29 peso chip, you still have to put money on it. You can't prepay at 50. You could put 100 on it, but wouldn't you still have to put 50 the next week?
It would automatically take it out each week,
You think?
probably. The plan that I use.
I never use
is
any of
the
these prepaid
200
plans.
Plan, 3 countries, 33 days. If I let it go out, like last time I had the wrong one, I set it up, so there's 200 pesos in it, the plan's active, and then I go in and I just add money to the Telmex account, and at the end of the 33 days, it automatically goes again, charges, take 200 pesos out of your.
Right, right.
And
Well, that's the way he was describing to me the 149 peso chip. But the way he described the 29 peso chip was each week you have to add another 50 pesos. He didn't mention anything about prepaying that. Like,
So what do you use?
I'm on an old cell plan that I've got to change because I'm paying more than all of you, and I'm getting less features from it. It was a great plan because it's one of the old unlimited plans where I've got internet all the time, no matter what. But what they did is they decided to change that when LTE became amply available and we could download from 50 to 150 megabits a second, I mean, insanely fast. They decided, no, those unlimited plans are good for 800 megabytes. And then after that, we'll leave them connected to the internet, but we'll dial down the speed. And so after less than a gig, my internet connection cuts to a crawl, and all it's good for is like email, a text message here and there. I mean, there's no YouTube. There's very little website surfing because websites are so heavy now. It's very slow. It's almost dial-up speeds. So I need to go in and I can't make calls to the U.S. with my cell phone. I get charged for answering calls from the U.S. on my cell phone. So all it is I have not gone in to get a new plan. I just haven't done it yet. I got to do it. Got to do it. So I'll come back with lots of new information. That's right. Hopefully by next week I will have sorted it out. Because I say that every week and I end up working on other people's problems. You know, I'm like the cobbler whose kids have the worst looking shoes.
Or the doctor's kids who get an aspirin and go to bed.
Right, stop bugging me. What you got, Jim? Terrarium TV.
Terrarium?
Terrarium?
Start typing it into your phone and it'll be fine.
Yeah, I think it's like the fish tank.
Terrarium is the one that's empty that has plants and micro.
Terrarium. It's Terrarium. Terrarium TV.
Just start it. Type whatever you think and it'll correct.
And I think the site is Terrarium TV Pro. But you can imagine that they're getting knocked, and it looks to me like that site is not available at the moment for some reason.
You're in Mexico.
Somebody didn't keep it.
There is terrariumtvs.com, which is at least a blog about the service. There are several apps like Terrarium TV available. Get Terrarium TV on the Fire Stick. Download the latest. The latest is 1.9.2.
That's Android.
Yeah, Terrarium is only available on Android.
Not on the Apple.
Yeah, there is an article talking about Terrarium style apps for the iPhone that isn't Terrarium TV.
I wonder how they came up with that name. I've had terrarium. Physical terrarium.
Right?
None of them involve TV.
Well, I'm going to shut us down because we've reached the end. This has been the San Carlos Computer Club, and I'm Scott Stimson from International Computer Solutions. And if you guys have any computer needs, either here locally or remotely on the internet, I suggest you get a hold of me at internationalcs.net. We'd love to be your computer people. If you're in San Carlos, come by Tequila's and get breakfast. They got great food. I suggest breakfast before our meeting on Tuesdays at 9:15. Show up at 8:30 and eat breakfast and stick around for our meeting. We'll feed your mind as well. I'll talk to you later. You guys have a good week. Tech on.